This is the F class, ninth grade lit, and we are reviewing. We finished reading the book. I think all three classes basically have now. Here is one of the last points we want to make, and that's that Satan is the unholy trinity. You have these three faces. Also notice that he's a satyr. He's described like a half man, half goat. And if you think about, hopefully not too much think about it, but modern Satanists and witches and all that, they tend to show those pictures of the goat with the horns and everything. It's kind of associated with whatever you want to call Satanism or satanic type things. So anyway, that's what he looks like. And you got the three faces. I think that's all about him. Those two things. We said he was really big. 1,000 to 1,500 feet tall. I don't know where, it's not in the text, but Dorothy Sayers comes up with that conclusion based on something that I don't even care to know. But it's about the height of the Empire State Building. Of course, half of them is sticking out, half of them is under the ice. Yeah.
I think the goat part comes from the Bible verse where God says that he'll separate the sheep and the goats. I forget where that comes from.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
Matthew
so-
25. I believe.
Yeah.
He talks about that could be.
And Jesus is the sheep, Satan is the goat.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So anyway, that's and you were asking one question. What was that? We need to do 97.
Oh, we need to do 98 through 100.
Let's look at those.
97 now.
Cass
Okay.
said it
Judas,
was Cassius,
Brutus.
Judas, Brutus, all traitors.
And remember why they chosen Judas for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
Cassius and
Yeah.
Brutus because.
They were traitors, or no, yeah, they were the ones who chose like different sides, even though they were on their one side, like Brutus.
And what's the connection with Dante?
Because they betrayed Julius, and I
Which
guess
is
they.
Roman,
Yeah.
and Dante's Italian.
Oh, yeah.
Not
and
Roman,
this-
but
yeah,
he's
they don't-
Italian. So
they attached it.
any Italian would probably think those two were the worst sinners ever. And somebody asked, I think it was Pilar asked a really good question. She thought that Brutus was a good guy, was a noble character. And I thought, well, that's interesting because it's Shakespeare is the reason we think, if you've ever read Julius Caesar, have you?
Or that,
We had to memorize the Friends, the Romans. kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's not Brutus, but that's Mark Antony. But anyway, Shakespeare makes Brutus look like the hero. Next year, get used to it, next year Milton kind of makes Satan look like a hero. Not really, I'm giving you the wrong impression by saying that, but he does make him, for some people, seem more admirable than he should. But he's kind of the main character of that book. God is the main character, but Satan is also a main character. You'll read that next year or parts of it. So that's 97, 98. Why Easter Sunday morning? How does that parallel Dante's state right now?
He's waking up, right? No.
He's leaving hell.
He's research.
And why is that important for Easter Sunday?
rebirth, right?
Well, Jesus.
Jesus came
Out of the ground, literally, out of the tomb. And so he that kind of emphasizes that resurrection. 99, how do Dante and Virgil leave hell?
through Lethe.
Yes, the river Lethe. They follow it up to the surface again. And if, just in case you forgot, I'm going to ask you to go back to page 70 if you have your book.
How do they come out of hell?
They follow the river Lethe. It's sort of the river of forgetfulness. They don't forget this, but it's sort of peaceful, if you think about it, compared to where they've been. Yeah, look at that diagram on page 70. The question in number 99, how do Dante and Virgil leave hell? Explain how hell is situated with regards to the earth. So notice purgatory is at the Antarctica. Jerusalem is at the top. I don't think it lines up that way if you think about it. Jerusalem is not, it'd be the North Pole, right? Antarctica and the North Pole would be kind of opposites, but I'm not going to blame anybody. So hell runs from Jerusalem to Mount Purgatory, like straight line, if you take a straight line, yeah. Take a straight line right down the center of the earth, you've got Jerusalem, hell, the river Lethe, and purgatory. Why is it significant that both hell and purgatory are connected to the earth? And hell and heaven, of course, is
Because
not.
it kind of shows how it's like,
Separation from God.
Right, and even in purgatory that takes place, yeah.
Yeah, and also like you still have to work off your sin in
Yeah,
hell, like purgatory, then to get to heaven. So like they kind of go
Very good.
together. They're like
yeah.
kind of over here.
So in hell, you're being punished for your sin. In
Right.
purgatory,
Judged.
you're working off your sin, headed to heaven. Everybody, the idea is that everybody in purgatory will go to heaven at some point.
Right.
All right, last question. I think it's interesting, there are 100 questions here. I didn't do these questions several years ago. Ms. Connor did, she's no longer here, but she did these for us. How many cantos are there in the Divine Comedy?
23 plus 24, right?
33. There's 33 what did I say? It's cantos I'm
Oh,
asking.
cancer. Oh.
33 in heaven, 33 in purgatory, 34 in hell. So add those three up, 33, 33, 34, 100. So they're literally 100 cantos, chapters. There are 100 questions. I don't think that's just a coincidence, but an interesting. Why do you think, I don't get this, why do you think he chose Inferno as the title?
because Inferno, it's like,
Hell.
Yeah,
because Infierno in Spanish is hell, so it's kind
Yeah.
of like that.
when I was, I think maybe the 70s, there was this disaster movie, you know what kind of movie I'm talking about? It was called The Towering Inferno. It was about a fire in a big, tall office building and all the people in there that were trying to get out. Some did, some didn't. But it was called The Towering Inferno. All right, so we're going to go back. I'm going to make an effort one more time, see if I can answer this. Look at number 95. Dante has transformed throughout the course of his journey, and the climactic moment seems to occur in Canto 34. So that's where we are on page 285, right? 34.
Oh, I thought we said that is not life and aware of the need to repent.
That's what I think. Let's say lines 25 through 28 at the bottom. This was not life, and yet it was not death. If thou hast wit to think how I might fare, bereft of both, let fancy aid thy faith. I think it's a recognition that he acknowledges that he's going to heaven. Because he says, now, it's not life, meaning life on earth, and it's not death, meaning, hell. So if it's not life or death, then that means there's only one other choice. If he's bereft, that means missing both human life and eternal death. It must be eternal life that he's going to receive. I think that's what that means. His journey has been successful for the reason Anna Grace just said, that he's come to realize what sin is and the problem of it and why he needs to repent of it, which is sort of what the next Mount Purgatory is like. I've read it a couple of times. I like it. I've never taught it, so I don't know. I'd probably like it more if I taught it. I'd learn it better. So I am done. You have the questions answered. You have the review sheet. How can I help you at this point? You can work together. You can ask me. I'm willing to do anything. Okay. Well, either one of you, Anna Grace, you start.
So I did the study guide over the weekend and was wondering because we did not really cover the 10 vouchers.
Right.
And I wrote them all out, but I was just wondering because I know you're asking for the geographic map kind of hell, like know the layout of it. And so we can do the limbo, lustful, gluttonous, hoarders, wrathful, heresy, violence, fraud, simple, fraud, complex, and those are the two that we didn't really touch on. We read one part in Circle 7 about it, but we didn't really get there. So I was wondering if you wanted to take that out. Or...
Yeah, let's let's look at that. This is number one. Yeah, you can take out where it says the 10 bouges. You need to know what that is, the 10 trenches, each with a separate sin, but you don't need to know what the sins are.
Okay, so Pandarus, Simenax, and Beraders.
Yeah, where is that?
We just need to know those three names, we don't need to know what they mean, correct?
Okay, where are you reading?
I'm reading
Pandarus,
that
Simenax.
in, I think I may have found it on my
Okay.
phone, and I just added that to the.
Okay, well, you don't need to know the names of the Boges. Look at number 2. Okay, everybody, number 2, it says circle 9. You don't need to know these names either. Cana, Antinora, Ptolemea, and Judeca,
Could you write them down?
they're on your review.
You don't have to know them.
You don't have to know them.
Yeah, I know.
These are 4, those are the 4 regions, but you need to know that there are 4
Oh, okay.
regions.
So we have to know the 10 vouchers, but not the
No,
specific.
you just need to know what that means. You don't need to know what's in those 10
So
vouchers.
Bow just means trenches.
Yes, and
It's
each
a
one,
different sin.
what?
Each are different sin.
Each is a different sin, and there are 10 of them.
I have a
Okay,
question.
okay.
So for the 3 categories of sin, like the incontinence, violence, and fraud, it said there was 4 circles for the leopard, 3 rings for the lion, and then the she-wolf. But there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that were labeled under the 4 circles for incontinence. So is it 4 that you just want, because when you go to page 84, and it says incontinent, there's 6 of them.
Wait, what are you
Is it
talking
just
about?
the first 5, like the wrathful?
No, so the incontinence is lustful, gluttonous, hoarders, spendthrifts, and wrathful, and it all
Oh,
means
I put
pleasure.
limbo, okay.
Then you have violence, which is phlegethon, woods of suicide, and the abdominal sand, which is power. Then you have fraud, which is simple, fraud complex. And you just need to know that fraud complex has 4 regions in it, but you do not need to know which 4.
Okay.
So you can take out knowing the 10 vouchers, but you need to know that there are 10 vouchers. Does that make sense?
Okay, and before we leave, I'm gonna explain how we come up with the number 24.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
And that big picture, I think, is useful. You don't need to know all the little details. Okay, Kate, make sure you put your phone away and turn it off. All right, yeah.
I have a question about the mountain. Like, is that just the beginning of the story, and they walk into the mountain to get into hell?
Mount Purgatory is a mountain at the bottom, on the other side of the earth, and they climb it.
the mountain at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, it's a mountain, yes.
So it's just the mountain they walk into to get into hell?
No, the mountain is, it's kind of vague, but the mountain may be, now, how can it be in 2 different places? Mount Purgatory, we said, is on the other side of the world, but it may kind of represent, it's a mountain, but it represents purgatory. And it would be the way he's trying to go up this mountain to get to God. And he can't do it because sin, that's the problem. Sin is the problem. It's your problem, it's my problem. It's why people die, because of sin. And so, the only way to get to God is to deal with sin, and that's why he has to go through hell. Now, Christ only has to die once, so Christ died for Dante once. You don't have to be re-saved. So, but now we're talking about his lifestyle. We're talking about the fact he wandered away from God. He needs to repent of those things and go. That's how he'll get back to God. The hard way, not the easy way. He had the easy way. He could have just not wandered off, but now he's got to do it the hard way.
And I have one last question. They're indigestible, are they being bitten by bugs? Is that what's happening?
Not bugs, but hornets.
So the vestibule, who's in the vestibule again?
The patriarch.
No, that's limbo.
Oh, I thought you said it was limbo.
Oh, and
Aren't it just the souls that need to be buried in the cross?
wait, I did
Would
this.
Oh, no,
unbaptized mean
undecided,
just
right?
people
Is
that
it not
aren't
undecided?
saved?
It's the undecided.
The blood of naked sin, because of bites from hornets, the worms eat the blood, and the shame and the grossness of hell.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. And who are they? The people that don't make a decision. I heard this weekend, that the pro-choice lobby is now going to be called pro-decision. I don't know what that does to make it any different, but they are going to be using that term. You may hear that term because now everybody knows what pro-choice means. Let's move to pro-decision. That sounds like a more innocuous, you know what I mean, harmless, clean term decision. It doesn't have any of the death and the destruction that it brings anyway. These are people that couldn't make a decision. The vestibule. All right, so I'm gonna do this, and I hope this will make some difference. You've got vestibule, you've got, yeah, limbo,
Lustful,
Gluttonous, hoarders, the spendthrift, the wrathful, the heresy, violence,
Gluttonous.
fraud, simple, fraud,
Gluttonous.
yeah, you can help me do this.
hoarders, and spendthrifts.
What's the word after lustful?
Gluttonous.
I have a question, for
The
the graphics,
wrathful.
it's just outer, middle, and inner, right? We don't need to know, like,
Wrathful.
what are they doing?
All right, so, hoarders, and then finally wrathful.
And that's upper hell.
And this is called, I'll just, upper hell. Then you have the city, I'm running out of board. The city of Dis, which is right here. And then you have circle 6. Heretics,
Is vestibule and limbo the same thing?
Violence.
No?
no, two different things. It's not numbered though. These are all the circles, and that's why I didn't put a number here, because it doesn't have a number.
I see.
Then you have violence.
And then fraud, simple.
I'm gonna do this. This is where it gets complicated, but, and I'm running out of room. You've got 3 rings,
Phlegethon.
and we'll come back for that. Then we'll go to 8.
Fraud, simple.
Fraud simple,
And then fraud, complex.
and remember, fraud simple has 10
Boundaries.
gouges. And then you have fraud complex,
Which has 4 regions.
and it has 4 regions.
Anybody have a piece of paper I can write this down?
Yeah.
So let me see if it adds up. This is how we determine that there are 24 sections of hell. So count with me. I might have missed something. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, right?
24.
4. I'm gonna put this and write the number 24.
So adding together all the rings, circles, and gouges and regions, you get 24.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
and so in a sense, although some kind of share sins, I need more than one, there are 24 sins that Dante highlights. And remember, this came from what philosopher did this kind of view of hell come from? Yes, it's, again, this, you don't see it like this in the Bible, so we can't say that, that's why Dante's not saying this is how it really is. But the church kind of saw this as a useful picture. And so this is the 24 things. And you don't need to know the gouges, you just need to know what they are. You don't need to know the regions, you just need to know what they are. And at the end, I'm going to erase this. And I think all this is already in your,
Oh, yeah, remember what the 4 regions are that you just mentioned about that?
okay, let me, 5 rivers,
You don't need to know the names of them, you just need to know that in Circle 9 there are 4 regions.
yes. Yeah, sure.
Right. There are 5 rivers, starting with Acheron.
Phlegethon, this one's.
Tate, you got this?
Styx, Cocytus, and Lethe.
This is after the fun.
Sorry, it's Phlegethon, then Styx, then Cocytus, and then Lethe.
OS?
US. And Lethe.
Thank you. So when you look at it that way, it's not as much. And then, of course, your review sheet asks you to go into some detail about this, and this, but not about this. So you do need to know things like, why is this worse than, why is this worse than this? And why the order? Why is fraud simple worse than violence, and fraud complex worse than fraud simple, in terms of the severity of the sin, or the,
Why is fraud simple worse?
Does it have to do with, like
Is it-
Dante's, like, opinion, or is it just?
remember, all this basically comes from Aristotle. He didn't himself decide that one is worse than the other. And remember, this is Taylor's question: why is fraud simple not as bad as fraud complex?
Because one, you don't know the person
Which?
who you're
Fraud simple.
committing against,
fraud
and
simple
then
with violence.
complex is where you're
Right.
committing it against somebody you know.
And so why are both of these worse than violence?
Because because fraud, what?
Man can do it.
Yeah, man can what are we saying, deceive. Animals can't deceive, not purposely. If any deception is instinct and God-given, like the camouflage or the prowling or the whatever, that's not, they're not planning that, it's just what they do, yeah.
Also, like, not speaking for like all violence like cases, but like usually violence is like in the moment, and it lasts for like a while, but fraud can impact like the rest of your life, almost, like if you're the person that was done wrong.
Because you're deceiving, and in that case, you're really deceiving when you, the regions. I read this, can I read it? It's fascinating to me. I had seen, I was looking for something else, I'm gonna read it off my phone, got a picture of it. This is, I don't even know who this person is, but it describes, in this region, remember that sin, and I don't think I've asked you, but I think I may need for you to know, not the names of the regions, but the 4 kinds of fraud that are committed.
So against your neighbor, against God,
Against self.
against.
That's,
No,
now that's
no,
rings.
No, it's in your book.
Is that like
Okay, no, it's
treachery?
against.
Country.
Guests, benefactor, your family, and against, benefactors.
Which is first?
So it's, against your kin, against your home, or your country, against guests, and then against benefactors.
Benefactors being like workers.
Or
I guess.
lords, I'm gonna put lords there, this is shorter than benefactor. So why, the question that I think this answers is to why in the world a guest, even a stranger, is more important than your country or your family. And this is from some ancient, medieval, maybe, not medieval, but ancient belief. It says, in the gracious hospitality of the antique world, a guest was sheltered from all harm. His person was inviolable. His wants are met. So the guest of Jehovah, whenever it says abide in the Lord, it says the guest of Jehovah can claim asylum from every foe and share in the bountiful provision of his abode. That is a wonderful picture. The Lord's name is a tower. To run into it and or say this idea that God is a refuge. If human beings were considered guests, strangers, were considered inviolable, they cannot be touched, they cannot be harmed. It's impossible. They're completely protected. We are those people. We are the stranger, who deserve to be, who God has now allowed to live in his house, and we are inviolable. We cannot be touched. That to me is very interesting. Now, we've about run out of time. We got about 5 minutes. Do you see anything on that bothered you, that if you could answer right now, you could make sure you're studying it, which is what you need to be doing, yes?
Well, we need to know panders, seducers,
No,
sorcerers,
no, that's
Where is
the other
that?
thing.
Okay, so take those out.
Yeah.
And then sodomy, usury, and spendthrift are good.
Okay, let me find panderers,
Seducers.
seducers, and sorcerers, take out.
Perfect. And then
where's the other that you just?
I just said it above, I said it out of
Yeah.
order, but we'll need to know spendthrift, sodomy, usury.
Yes, those are just
craft
words, the reason I put them in there, what is a spendthrift? That's, you need to know that sodomy is the homosexual sin, usury is the excess interest, and wrathful, I mean, and remember there are two kinds, active and passive.
Excess, what'd you just say?
What does spendthrift mean? Like someone that
Excess.
spends,
Interest, yeah.
Thank you, and spendthrift,
someone that spends in excess?
Yes, you just spend all the time, always buying stuff. It's the same, it's the other side of the coin of hoarding. They had to buy those things in order to hoard them. So the spendthrift spends his money and the hoarder holds on to everything. And sometimes you're both, some people are not both, but you could be. It's excessive interest in material things. Oh,
What are the foreshadows?
oh, those are the, Dead Poet Society.
Oh,
yes, very
Oh, wait,
good.
where is that?
It's,
Oh,
Virgil.
I see it.
yeah,
Yeah, there,
Homer, Horace, Ovid, and Lucan.
I don't think I asked you who that is, but write it down if,
It's like the Dead Poets.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got all of the Gulfs and Ghibellines. What is the difference between the black Ghibelline, or Gulfs, and the white Gulfs?
I don't know. It's a political thing and I didn't bother to look at it more carefully. It's just that the black and white Gulfs were really a family, the white Gulf,
Right.
named after their aunt or something. And then the opposite side was the black Gulfs, and they just, for some political reasons that I don't know what they are, split.
Okay, so if I just put Gulfs and I put middle class, opposed emperor, supported pope, eventually split into two groups because of feuding families,
Right.
black and white, then I don't need to put definitions for
No.
black and white. Okay.
Did you know, for instance, in the modern Republican Party, there are establishment Republicans, they call rhinos, R-I-N-O.
Right.
Republican in name only, and there are now Trump supporters, that's sort of what it's become, but there's always been the more conservative, or even conservative versus establishment Republicans. Think of that as the Guelphs. The Guelphs divided into maybe a more conservative versus a more liberal form of Guelphism,
I
whatever
have a
that is.
question, so
Yeah.
Guelph supported the Pope by the Jubilee.
Okay, the
Yes,
Gulfs opposed the emperor, supported the pope. The Ghibellines supported the emperor and opposed the pope. So they're like quite opposite.
yes, flip.
And the Gulfs were made up more of middle class people, where the Ghibellines were more like high end
Yes.
people.
Yes. Again, from Republicans used to be known as the wealthy party, Democrats, the middle class party. That's no longer true, but that's what the Guelphs and Ghibellines were like. Please study this. You've got plenty of time. You've got several days. We'll have a game on Wednesday, which I'll be asking you. I'll probably give you a copy of it. I guess I can do that in advance. I need to find it. I don't know where.
For the geography of hell,
Yes.